Hello, everybody. SunGates Center and SunGates Radio is proud to present a new program. Participants are Dr. Marina Kostina, who is a Reiki master and founder of a company. She will tell about herself a little. And of course, her guest, Megan Hamilton, and which Marina represent herself. Marina?
Okay,
To you.
sure. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Marina Kostina. I am the founder of Wired at Heart, a company that is dedicated to teaching you how to love yourself. And this episode is called Self-Love, Do It Yourself. We're going to have lots of topics related to self-love, self-acceptance, self-esteem. And today I'm very excited to have a guest, Megan Hamilton, who is a business partner and a friend and a healer for me because, I've taken lots of her Reiki sessions and tarot sessions because she's a Reiki master, she's a tarot reader, and she's also the owner of World Tree Healing Center located on 4533 North Kedzie in Chicago. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you.
And today we're going to talk about self-love through the eyes of the tarot. How awesome is that? So my first question, in my practice, I found that self-love is very important for pretty much most of the aspects of our lives. What is your view on self-love, self-acceptance, self-esteem? Do you think that's important in our lives? And if yes, why?
I do think it's extremely important, and self-love and self-acceptance is a journey. It's a constant journey. Going from, say you have a dysfunctional background, you were raised in not the greatest of ways, as most of us are, and you try to just start loving yourself. That's like dropping someone into an Olympic sport that they've never trained for, and then expecting them to get a gold medal. It's not going to happen. You have to start where you are. And what I like to do when people are just at the very, very beginning, start with hating yourself less. Start with those internal thoughts that you have that say you're not good enough. Ask it why. That's how I had to deal with my own stuff. I just constantly was asking these thoughts and feelings, why? And they never had an explanation. It collapsed very quickly as soon as I asked them why. And then the ones that gave me a reason, I just kept going with it. Like, well, okay, I get that you feel this way. I get that's your opinion, but I need a better one. And it eventually falls apart.
Absolutely. And I love your metaphors. Your speech is always full of metaphors, probably because you're a tarot reader and tarot cards are so symbolic, right? So
Yes.
It's almost like you see the life through the eyes of these beautiful pictures and symbols. And one of the sayings of yours that I remember that is also very metaphorical, like you always say that our feelings are like our children. They need attention. And talking about self-hate and self-love, how does that relate to self-love? What do you mean by that expression? Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of the time I find that in the self-help community, in the self-healing community, we focus very much on, I just don't want to feel this way anymore. That's understandable. However, when you have a feeling and you try to shove it to the side in order to get somewhere else, like I feel kind of devastated because this person in line was mean to me, and that reminds me of how my mother used to talk to me or how a teacher used to talk to me, and I'm just going to reach for something better. You're ignoring what you just felt. You're ignoring that. And just because you're ignoring it or you shove it to the side doesn't mean it's going anywhere. Our emotions are like children in that, have you ever dealt with a child and they are determined to say something, and even if you tell them to be quiet, they just kind of sock it away for later? And they're eventually going to get it out. They're eventually going to say what they need to say, and they will create a mess the longer you try to put them off.
Yes,
so
our
feelings and our
I just had a very interesting interaction with a little girl. I'm interrupting you for 1 second because you're totally right. A year ago, I dropped a line with her in the conversation that I am going to take her apple picking. A year after, she remembered and kept bugging me about it.
Yes. She
So
really wanted to go
similar
with you.
to the feelings?
Yes, it's extremely similar. And when you deny those feelings, if you deny that child, if you deny all of those things that are happening, that doesn't mean it's going anywhere. You just kind of shoved it somewhere else. You're eventually going to have to deal with that. And sometimes it comes up in other interactions. Say someone cuts you off and you start swearing at them, or you give them the finger, or you just sharply criticize that other person who said something mean to you in line. And these are just small interactions that can lead to bigger issues and bigger things. And if you just acknowledge, hey, I'm kind of pissed off right now, that's okay. It's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be frustrated. There's nothing wrong with those feelings. But our culture and our society, and I feel like a lot of the self-help community, maligns those feelings as they are negative. They're not negative. It's human. Just because they don't feel so good doesn't mean they're not important. Anger helps us with boundaries. If someone makes you angry and they're consistently making you angry, you shouldn't be around those people. Not try to
That's a good advice.
not try to be like, oh, I need to love them more. That's probably not going to work out because they're still going to make you angry. So it's like,
Wonderful.
if you don't need to deal with them, then don't. But with other things like friends or family, the people that you live with, it can be a lot more complicated. And that's where the self-love and accepting yourself and loving yourself and working with yourself and working on communication, that's where that comes into play.
Okay, thank you. Now let's get to the tarot, right? Because when you talk about these feelings, I totally agree with you. But I don't think that very many people are very aware of the feelings. They know pretty much that they feel bad or they feel good. That's pretty much the criteria. How can tarot help you with identifying these feelings? Can it help you, first of all?
It can. Having a good foundation in the tarot definitely helps. So if you have a book, read it. And practicing with the tarot can definitely help, or going to your local tarot reader can definitely help. Like, there's something going on here and I can't quite put my finger on it. The reader can pull a card and say, okay, well, this is probably what's going on. So say, someone comes in and they're like, I've got these feelings and I don't know what's going on, and say I pull the Queen of Wands. I'm like, I think you're angry.
Interesting. So that's how it works. So pretty much you put an intention, just for those people who don't know necessarily. I mean, most people know what tarots are, but a tarot is like beautiful cards. But how it really works, so you ask a question, and the person who is trained like you can really pull this card and tell you what's going on, pretty much.
Yes. Because the Queen of Wands is fire, and fire is passion. Fire is consuming, and fire can be anger. It can be rage. And I have found just through my own practice that she tends to come up when we're talking about things related to anger, being angry and rage. So that's one way the tarot and its symbolism and the meanings can be used to identify hard to place feelings, because in our culture we tend to be disassociated from our emotions, where I also really like to say that anger in children comes off as disrespect when they're just angry, because you might have said or done something stupid. You might have said or done something that was unfair. And so that kid is angry. And then they get punished for being angry. And so then that tells us, I should not express my anger. Anger is disrespectful, when that's just not the case.
What does that do to self-love when we suppress feelings like that early in childhood?
When all of your emotions are not honored, it makes loving yourself extremely difficult. Because, I'm going to love this part of myself, this part that is culturally appropriate, that I reacted in the way that I am supposed to. I'm helping all of these people, even though I really don't like them, but that makes me a good person. You're cutting off your darkness. The darkness and the light, they're two sides of the same coin. They're like the same thing. You have all of those parts of yourself. And if you're just focused on loving the good parts and not accepting the bad parts, that's going to leads to schisms in people's lives, in their spirits, in their emotions, in everything. It's very unfortunate.
Interesting. And tarot, usually, as far I don't know much, but each card could be also a positive and a negative, right? Am I saying it right? Does that reflect what you're just saying, supporting this idea of, that that's all one pretty much?
The tarot can be binary, but it's also a good tool to see the nuance beyond the binary. There's 78 cards in the deck. And every single one of those pictures is an aspect of our lives. The good, the bad, the ugly, the glorious, all of those things can be broken down into different segments of our lives and our own human experiences. And those pictures and those symbols can help us understand more of what's going on.
So how does it really work? Like, do the spirits talk to you? Do the spirits talk to the person who comes to you? How do these cards really reveal what is going on in reality of the human being?
I can only say the way I do it. Everybody does this a little bit differently, and I found that this is the easiest way. Everyone has an inner self. The inner self is your best possible outcome, your best possible version of yourself. And when I'm doing a reading for someone, I am addressing their inner self. What is the best possible outcome from your best possible life? So that's what I address. That's what I'm talking to. That's what I am invoking. Some people invoke God. Some people invoke the saints. Some people invoke whatever. Doesn't really matter. I talk to the inner self, to the person's best possible outcome, because I feel like that is where the best information is for themselves. Like, this is a reflection of their own unconscious mind, and I'm just interpreting what their unconscious minds are saying.
Interesting. So is it true to say that inner self, that perfect, the ideal us, if we get closer to that image, does it mean that we become to love ourselves? Is that self-love? When we identify ourselves with that being?
I would say yes, because our inner selves lead us to where we are most happiest and more. But sometimes the inner self will lead you to do certain things that are not culturally appropriate, and I don't mean like doing inappropriate things with other people or doing them to them, but for yourself. For me personally, my inner self led me to stop dyeing my hair because I just didn't want to do it anymore. I've been going gray since I was 16 years old, and I saw my inner self with long, glorious gray hair. It was beautiful. And I'm like, why am I so ashamed of my gray hair? This is glorious. So that's what worked for me. And other people can have rainbow hair, and then we'll lead them to dye their hair with rainbow like that. And so everybody has a different outcome. Everybody has a different light, and you just gotta make peace with what that is, because it's a reflection of what you truly want. It's a reflection of who you truly are. If a bunch of not so great things hadn't happened to you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Now, coming back to the self-love and self-esteem and self-acceptance and self-concept, how can tarot help you? Can it help you, or it just shows you what's going on with you?
It can help in a certain way. I have a certain spread called the Hidden Spread, and I actually got it out of a psychology book on tarot. And this is like okay, I have this problem. I want to have more prosperity in my life, or I want to have better relationships in my life, or I want to change careers, or I want to get better at communicating with my family. And the Hidden Spread, this one particular placement is the root of it. This is the root of the problem. Then the second placement is what you need to do about it. And then the third placement is the most challenging part. And so, like, this is changing this is going to be the hardest part. And the outcome is what is most likely to happen if you're able to take the advice and do this work. Okay. So it gives you a very clear outline of this is how you can fix this problem.
So, for example, if I come to you and say, I am really tired to, living my life with low self-esteem, could
Yes,
that be a problem that we address through
definitely.
tarot? And it would tell me what to do?
It could, the cards that I pull will definitely show me what the root of that lack of self-esteem is. And it could
Ah,
be body image. It could be your mother might have had an eating disorder. It could be in different, in my own tarot language, I have cards especially for those things. Like the Nine of Cups for me is like consuming too much. It's the card of addiction. It's the card of eating disorders or alcohol consumption. And the Pentacles suit is all things physical. And so I would think that if a pentacle, like say the Queen of Pentacles came up, I would say body image issues. And so I would, lead the client to, your worth is not based on your physical body. Who you are is more than how you look physically. And that's how I would help them move through that to get to a place of self-love.
interesting. Because I also know, tell us a little bit about your education, because you have psychology background, right?
It's not psychology; it's sociology.
Sociology.
I graduated from Northeastern Illinois University with a bachelor's degree in women's studies, and I do have some domestic violence training. I'm not certified in anything. I have taken so many sociology courses, which deals with who we are in the culture. And that has always fascinated me. I have read psychology books, but I have no formal psychology training. And I also lean heavily on my own experiences. I have been a professional healer since 2009, and I have worked on very many people, and I have figured out a few things along the way, including working on myself. I have learned the most just working on myself and addressing my own issues.
And I totally hear you, because, in our many sessions, because, I was going through a rough time in my life, and you pretty much were my shining star to whom I would come almost every week. Remember that time?
I do.
We spent a lot of time together.
And here you are now.
Hey, I am working with you. But we still, yesterday I actually called Megan because I needed her perspective. Just a side note that the journey of self-love is a journey. There is no real destination. So even if you think that you figured it out, you still need that another perspective, right? But what I wanted to say is that what I really loved in our sessions is that you did combine your traditional kind of approach with the non-traditional of tarot. So you would bring up something from psychology or sociology. How does that work for you? Do you think that the combination of the two, because I do that in my practice too, is that making your readings more powerful? How does it work?
Well, with certain clients, the spread and the reading is only as good as the person is who are open to the advice that I'm giving. A lot of people, and this isn't a criticism of people, but a lot of them, they just want to be told what they want to hear. They want to hear that, oh, this is an easy fix, when really it's quite difficult. I'm like, you've gotten yourself very deep into a hole here. So readings are as easy as a person's ability and openness to receive information. Some people just want to be entertained. I'm fine with that. You want me to entertain you? Fine. You're here for my help. I will give you everything that I have. But I really just like to focus on the meanings of the 78 cards as they are reflections of our own experience. The tarot, as we know it, was developed by the members of the Golden Dawn in the early 1900s or the late 1800s. And it was designed by Pamela Coleman Smith, who was an amazing artist. And reading about her life, she's just amazing. And the images were just as relevant back then as they are now. That's why I like also to read books that were published a long time ago, because then I can mention it to clients where, like, all of the stuff that you're going through, this has been done before. Right. Where a lot of women will come to me with tales of woe of all of these men that they're dating, and like you just like told me the plot of Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. Like
Yeah,
because
pretty
they
much.
have this idea that this is a new thing, that people haven't treated each other this way, or these days. I really dislike that whole these days things are like this. And I'm like, they're not. This is the human condition. We're
Right.
still
Well,
growing. We're still evolving.
we tend not to be in the present. We tend to either idealize the past and the future, or on the contrary, right? So it's we're always everywhere else except for right now, right? So
Yeah,
I think
and that's part of our how part of who we are as a species. Since we are aware of time and we can think abstractly, it kind of makes us a little nuts. And the tarot can definitely help unscrew that. It can definitely like change your perspective and shift your focus, and like focusing on a single person who's making your life very difficult. I can then use the tarot to show them, well, this is also what's going on. You got to look at how you're actually reacting to it, and you're reacting to it because of this stuff that's happened in the past. Like you're not arguing with a coworker, you're arguing with your mother. You're not arguing with your child, you're arguing with yourself.
that is interesting.
Yeah, children are our teachers. They show us where we still need to grow up, and the tarot is really good for highlighting those things.
I also like the spread where you show it's supposed to be the future, the present, the past, but then it all kind of becomes really timeless, right? The time
Yes.
kind of erases, right? How does that work?
Timing in the tarot is a little more difficult. Everybody has a different way of going about interpreting that. The Pentacles, I believe, is the Fall, or is that the Wands? I get my own timing mixed up. So the Pentacles, I actually have, no, Pentacles are Spring. And the Cups are Summer, and the Wands are Fall, and the Swords are Winter. And sometimes if someone is asking a timing question because they want to know what's going to happen, and then explaining to people that since the future hasn't happened yet, it's very open-ended. So, like, this could happen, or this could happen, or this is what's most likely to happen because this is where you were coming from. So if I pull a major arcana card for a future question, it's up in the air. The minor cards are it's a little bit easier to tell time with them. But timing is very interesting in that the past is easier to deal with, the present is a little trickier, but the future, none of that is written in stone.
That's my next question. So it's not like, I come to you and say, okay, Megan, tell me what's going to happen to me in 2 months, right? Can you tell me that? Or it's my free will and I can still change between now and that 2 months, whatever is coming my way?
I can look at what is most likely to happen based on where you have come from, because the best predictor of future events is past events. Have you already been through this? What has already been the past patterns? But I always like to say that I never say that I'm 100% right about anything. And also, the future is not written in stone. If the client thinks it's a negative outcome, it doesn't have to happen. They can make different choices. The things can go differently.
So, okay, so talking about past patterns and relating that to self-love, right? If right now I come to you and you show me my past patterns and you show me how that's shaping my present and why I don't have certain things that I want, and you show me that, hey, my future is more likely to be the same because I've been doing it forever and ever, and if I decide to drop this story and change my patterns, so I would be able to rewrite my future?
It takes time and it takes a lot of effort to change those patterns. When you have a dysfunctional pattern that you want to change, it's like going down a road that is very well worn. And then It's comfortable. It's familiar. You know where all the trees are. You know where the potholes are. You know where all of those things are. And changing a pattern and going down a new road, it's like trying to drive through a dense forest. You have to make new roads. You have to get to know the new terrain. It is scary. It is frightening. And it's frustrating. Especially when trying to change a pattern, you get a ricochet effect. Sometimes, like, okay, for instance, I was trying to change a lot of my money patterns. And I was working so very hard on, like, staying within my means. And I really, really, really put everything that I had into it. And then my wallet got stolen.
Oh, oh no.
That had never happened before in my entire life. And it was really dumb in that I left my wallet at the bus stop. And I have a pattern of being meticulous because I don't like to lose anything. So every single thing, every single object that I own has a place. So, like, you know, my cup of tea goes here, my tarot cards go there, my makeup goes here, my laptop is here, and, you know, nothing really moves because I noticed, especially when I was a teenager, if I moved things, then I would lose them. So my way of adapting to that was to come up with a system of keys go into this pocket in my purse, my wallet goes into this part of my purse, my water bottle goes into this part of my purse, so you understand. So the fact that I left my wallet at the bus stop was
like a miracle.
What? Well, it's because I'm trying to change a deeply ingrained pattern. And part of that pattern of, like, putting everything in its place was based on me feeling irresponsible. Just because I left my wallet at the bus stop does not mean that I'm an irresponsible person. Just because I lose something doesn't make me an irresponsible person. I'm just a human being. I make mistakes, I forget things. And then the person who found my wallet then went and spent like $300 at Walgreens, and they went to Starbucks, and they did all of these things. And so then it took 2 weeks for that money to come back. But I broke the pattern. I didn't go back into the old thinking in the old ways because I didn't want to stay there. But that was the ricochet. That was the blowback of changing that pattern. If you can get on the other side of it without going backwards, then the pattern can be changed. But you have to resist the force to get you back on the familiar road.
Okay, so the key how to change the patterns, especially, like, for example, related to self-love and self-acceptance, is to stick with that. How do we not fall back? We have a couple of minutes left, so if you could address that.
You're going to fall back. It's okay to fall back. Just keep going back. Just keep going forward. You give yourself permission to make mistakes. Give yourself permission to mess it up. But give yourself permission to just, like, you know what? I don't really feel like working on the pattern today. Because it's easy to burn yourself out like that. But be committed to feeling better. Today I don't feel so good. Not going to work on it. But tomorrow will be better. So it's giving yourself leeway and flexibility. Because if you try to do something and put all of your energy into it and all of your force into it, it's going to break. You can't do that to yourself. And then you make mistakes and, like, oh, then I shouldn't be doing this in the first place.
Thank you for bringing this up. Because I always notice that my clients, you know, they usually call me after the first euphoric experience after the session, and they kind of almost ashamed of themselves for feeling bad because it's supposed to be already, you know, that they figured it out and everything is good. That doesn't happen, right, Megan?
Right. I like to call things to bring people back to a baseline. You could have a baseline of contentment. You could have a baseline of depression. And we're always going to have high points of happiness and all of the happy emotions, and then low points of sadness, anger, frustration, all of those things. But as long as you come back to the baseline, that is like a worthy goal. We're not always going to be happy. We're not always going to be sad. But contentment is a reasonable goal. It's a reasonable place to reach for. It's doable rather than being happy all of the time, because nobody can sustain that. That takes too much energy and effort.
Thank you so much. This is a great note to end our very interesting conversation. Thank you so much, Megan. One more time, we're talking to Megan Hamilton. How can people find you, and what's there in your store? We have 1 minute, if you could tell us.
Well, here at World Tree Healing, we have different practitioners. Dr. Marina Kostina is one of them. I do immersion energy healing and tarot. We have a rune reader. We have a shaman. We have other people who do Reiki. We have all kinds of people doing all kinds of things. We also sell all kinds of products. I make healing lotions.
Oh, I love those.
And I make lip balms and other cosmetics. We have candles. We have incense. We have crystals. We have books. We have tarot decks. And we love, what is it called? Special orders. We have an online store at worldtreehealing.com, so you can look at our online store and order from us, and we'll ship it to you.
Thank you. And what's the address one more time?
4533 North Kedzie. It's near Kedzie and Wilson on the northwest side of Chicago.
Thank you very much, Megan. And thank you very much for listening to us. This is Dr. Marina Kostina with the episode Self-Love. Do it yourself. So hopefully you learned a lot about tarot and self-love today. Thank you.
Thank you.